Well, log report. This is June 8th, 2022. This is Wednesday morning, 11:51 a.m. In about a couple of weeks, the president, no longer of Antelope Valley College, Ed Knudson, will be departing, leaving another president taking in charge. And they have asked people to leave videos and letters of salutations of memories and of the like. I didn't have that much interaction with the president, but if I was going to be leaving something of a video for the president, let me say this. If I'm going to put this on a record of sorts, this is John Cameron Weaver. I came to the campus about 2014, 2015, along with my big brother, David Shaw. The gentleman that you see in the picture on the shirt, the one in the blue. 8 years difference. We lost our mother in 2013, and it was suggested to a friend of ours that we could spend the part of our time trying to take care of the things that we should have been taking care of a while ago. We were caregivers to our mother. Actually, I think I was a lifelong caregiver for her. I never left her side. So, grief usually hits hard. My brother almost the same way, except he spent some time in the military and on the road as a trucker. But I screwed up 2.5 years of college when I came out of high school back in '85. And I'd worked my butt off for 30 plus years. I needed the money, need a roof over the head, you work. And kicked my butt all over the place. Sorry about the flying pests that you see in the video. I have an infestation. To continue on, my brother wasn't quite sure if he'd be able to go back to college or not. His physical health throughout the years had been deteriorating, and he completed one particular semester, one or two classes in there. Actually, I think it was 3 classes. That was kind of taxing him a bit, and the doctor told him to cut it down to 2 classes. He tried and had a heart attack and couldn't complete the rest of the terms and couldn't go back to campus. Me, on the other hand, I went to the campus, I think it was 14 or 15, and I had a ball. I felt like I was starting something that should have been taken care of a long time ago. But the thing is, I never had the context or perspective needed, or the maturity, or a desire to learn more. I had 30 plus years of kicking my butt, and I was getting sick and tired of it. I had already been injured on a job that screwed me over mentally and physically, and still screwing me over mentally and physically. But when I go to a campus, it doesn't matter. We're there to learn. We're there to fill our imaginations, or actually let our imaginations run wild, actually. And I had a hell of a learning curve. In the past 30 plus years, I didn't realize there were different writing styles coming here and coming there. And the current style of the APA, the MLA, the APLs, they were a challenge. They were a challenge, and I still continue to rise up to it. I've had classes that I've learned stuff that I've forgotten and learned more than what I had previously in the educational system that I had been forced into from kindergarten through 12, and then picking out different educational systems. I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm enjoying this too much. I didn't enjoy it back then when I was a kid. I was terrified. I'm looking at the students today. Every time there's a semester new coming in, I see it on their face. And it's not exactly the older farts I'm talking about. It's the newer kids. Each semester, they still have the same terror in their look. They look at the professor and like, and I'm like, oh, another old fart. Or maybe a youngin'. And it tickles me pink to see a few seniors coming in there. And I'm like, I'm not alone. I get comfortable and I feel like it's more of home. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to get evicted either by graduation or by funding running out, as I heard from the counselor's office. So I figure the next year will be it. 2 more semesters and that's it. I graduate. I graduate. The hard thing about this is knowing that the people that I love, that you see on the shirt, are not going to be there in the stands to see me, except as ghosts. My brother had passed away in 2018, which almost curtailed my educational career. I had to take a semester off to deal with life on life's terms, basically keeping a roof over the head, dealing with a big blood situation, not to mention grieving the living crap out of my brother and my mother at the same time, and wondering if I'm going to be coming back to do the promise necessary that I made to my mother and my brother. My brother and I argued about this one. Before he passed away, before he had physical ailments that precluded him from speaking, like we are speaking right now, his fascia was getting out of hand, and I know it was upsetting him a great deal. He had several transischemic attacks, and it affected him a great deal, so I had to be caregiver for him for a while. And I was going to lose another year of school just to take care of him, and hopefully he would have gone through rehab. But in September 8th of 2018, when I just completed 1 week of instruction, I had to cancel that because of him. I had to apologize to the professors what was going on. It was a math class I was taking, and that before they really changed it. And there was also Professor Schaefer I was taking for Western Civilization Part 2. I liked him in Part 1. So Part 2, I had to apologize a great deal to him. He was understanding about it. I came back, only taking 1 class at a time, so I could focus, knowing that my own mental instability was going to do a job on me. Meaning if I got triggered any way, shape, or form, I was going to be going into the major crying sessions, which would embarrass a person to death. But I didn't want that to happen. I only took 1 class to focus my brain on. Maybe 2 would have been better, but I had to take 1 class at a time. It kind of sucks, but I'm creeping along. But without the support administrators like Ed Knudson, I still wouldn't be in that campus. Its presence, and without that presence on that campus, the one that feels like you're home, then the campus feels like it's just another school that you're going to that you have no feeling or affection for or affinity for. You can wear the Marauders emblem left and right, but you won't feel the spirit or anything else. COVID had stretched us pretty badly. It tested us, damn near broke us. Damn near broke me. I had to do videos left and right just to get my sanity in order. To talk about my thoughts, my feelings, my life story, anything and everything. I had to get that down. Now, if I actually had the training and if I actually had a thought about it a while ago of going through media, audio, video, if I had taken one or two of the classes over there, maybe it would have helped me out a great deal in the videos. But that's not where my passion lies. Originally, coming out of high school, it was English. Stories. Stories. You can pick up a newspaper and you can read the journalistic version of a story. But there's a story in there, beyond the words, in between the lines, that you're still not getting. You can pick up an English book and probably put yourself to sleep, unless, of course, you're already used to English books. And I'm talking about books from Britain. I'm not talking about Jane Austen, Jane Eyre, Emily Bronte. Nah, I was never into the romance. Doctor Who? Okay, that was enough. All creatures great and small? Okay. Certain books and certain aspects of media that I've been grown up under, it was a treat to educate the professors of what I've learned over 30 years that they hadn't come across or thought of. So when you do that in class, that's like, it's not like I got an upmanship with it. I'm just saying, let's talk as peers. Now we got something to work with here. Something I know, something they know, and we exchange, and we're like, because that's part of the educational system right there, is to give and take. The thing is, I knew about the public education system. They didn't do the give and take. They shove, 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 shove. Next grade. Shove, 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 shove. Next grade. And onward and onward and onward and onward. College, maybe shorten the yokes a bit. But they still wanted one thing from the students. It's not the attention. It's, do they have a knowledge gap that could be filled? Do they have a burning question? Do they have a discussion? Do they have something that needs to be talked about? And going over to Antelope Valley College, some of the professors were actually outright pleading for them, because they want to make sure that the students are not just coming in there like robots. They've seen too many robots. They want to see human interaction at this point over here. It's one thing when they see somebody chewing the same dirt as they have, meaning the same time periods. Probably different locations, but still. And it pleases them that they talk to peers about it. But what disappoints them, I guess, the most is when the youth don't share the same enthusiasm as the older generations that keep coming in. And I notice that too, more often. It kind of makes me a little bit, I don't know, depressed about it. I'll talk to a few students here and there during a semester, and once in a while I'll hear from a student saying that he can't do this, he can't get this because he's got this reason or he's got that reason. And I'm thinking to myself as I'm smiling at myself, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You can't do this because of this and this and this. Holy moly, man, I got a story for you, dude. You're spoiled, you're selfish. You're brought up under technology right here. But what you're looking at is the stuff we faced in the earlier generations, and you don't even realize that. And she has to think concerning about the younger and older generations. Trying to find common ground so we can educate each other. And going over to college, over to Antelope Valley College, to talk to the students about it. That's the key. To keep them from dropping out and making a terrible mistake in their lives, because I've done it. I'm not happy about it either. Yeah, I know I was like to ditch school when I was in high school. I know what it was like to get lousy grades in junior high, especially when I spent most of my time in a damn arcade. But dealing with life as a teenager back in the 80s, especially when you're dealing with caregiving duties of a grandmother dying on you, and then you have to deal with a mother who's now thinking about how to survive both her grief, her pain, and keep a roof over the head. And making sure that Johnny doesn't screw things up and doesn't get kicked out of class. My mother had to keep thinking about that all the time. She didn't tell me about it all the time. Except maybe little bits and pieces here and there growing up as an adult. And when I got established into earning a living, that's when we really talked. So yeah, I understand about the excuses sometimes the students uses. And sometimes they are right. They got life kicking them in the pants and they have to make adjustments that they don't like to do. Dropping classes is one of those adjustments that hurts like hell. But the adjustment or the action I refer to is when they purposely do it just to get money. And I've seen that happen too many times. I didn't see it back in the 80s when I went over to Pierce College. We had the loans, but we didn't have the grants. And this time, we had the BOG grants. And we also have the federal FAFSA. We had the grants and the loans for that. And as soon as some of the students actually get their money, I've seen the classes disappear left and right. It's not because of the material. It's because of the greed. And they don't realize that they're going to be jeopardizing themselves down the road. It helps when you talk to financial aid and you talk to counseling about situations like this, because they can give you a clearer picture of what you're facing. Now, counseling may only counsel you concerning about your grades and about your schooling. You still need other kind of counseling as well. They still need to get more of that kind of support. As for the campus itself, seeing it go through a lot of changes, it has. It's gone through so many changes that I'm surprised that even us old farts are still having an adjustment issues over it. Any issues concerning about new buildings being popped up there and the inconvenience of being circumnavigated across the campus, that's one thing. But if I may make a small critique concerning about a certain new building that popped up. 1 second, please. What I was referring to was the Sage building that just got commissioned. A technological wonderland of sorts. With the computer center that they have, students are actually able to get their work done. with the study center that they have, the learning center. They're actually able to get other work done. And the building itself is still going through, well, it's still going through its testing phases, apparently. The semester that we've actually had still proved it still needs a lot more work on it. But I have a question to the safety officers on the campus and to the current administration. Why the hell is that damn thing looking like an earthquake trap or a come hither trap to anybody who's got nefarious goals of creating havoc and hell on our campus? You've got a security flaw like none other I've ever seen. Except if I happen to look at the Staples Center. That's another thing right there. Videos that you guys sent over to the students throughout the years to educate them what's going on regarding the shootings. Not enough of them. Not enough of them. You only respond, especially when we get a major shooting incident happening. Other than that, there are no drills. But then again, we needed the drills during K through 12th grade. We needed drills for nuclear war that didn't happen. But now we have a shooter drill that's going to have to be played out with the students. They're going to have to know and understand that this is a new age we have. Sorry, I got distracted because I got neighbors in the area. With the situations happening all across the country throughout the years, it's made our campus more and more insecure in a way. True, we have our own security force. We have observers, uniform observers. We have a substation that can respond. We also have rescue stations that can respond. But what scares the living crap out of me is when I see a building that looks like it's going to collapse on itself. That doesn't make me feel any better at this point. The learning center that we actually the liberal studies building that we lost for the new eyesore that's being built right now. It may not have looked like it was a secured area, but to me it was. Especially when you bar entrance in different sections to keep bad guys out. And as for a fire hazard, well, one entrance in, one entrance out. And I miss it. We can't change it. We're still dealing with the bigger one. And I understand. It's going to have to incorporate a lot of things into it. The building that we have for the UHASI, the Health and Science Building, technologically, it's a miracle. But when it comes down for safety and security, I just hope that the teachers understand and been trained, because keep this advised, students have no clue what the emergency procedures are. They have to be trained. They have to be reminded. Every semester, maybe about 3 or 4 drills, just to keep them on their toes. Every 3 or 4 weeks, pop a security drill. Something that keeps our students safe. Because after seeing what's been happening over the past God knows how many decades, just how long of a chance are we taking with our own campus safety and security? That's what I thought. I love the campus. If I could continue to get another degree out of it, I would. If I could. If I could get a job on the campus, maybe, I would. Because I feel like I'm tied to the campus and to the staff and to the students. It takes special administrators to get that atmosphere going. Now, I can tell you that this particular past semester that we've had for 2022 for the spring has been a challenge, an absolute challenge. We had to deal with the student store looking the way it is, and staffed accordingly, yeah, but undersupplied. And then dealing with the cafeteria where you had students quitting in the first, second, or third week, and they can't deal with it. Get some older, crusty cooks in there. They'll show them how to. They'll show the whippersnappers what real work is all about. Of course, I'm not quite sure what the pay is going to be like for these guys, but they've got to know what real work is all about. They have to learn it the hard way. Because if they happen to go into the real world and work in different places like that with that kind of attitude that they've actually had, we're not going to have, we're not going to keep anybody in there. It's one thing bringing in a private company. I just hope that the board can still appropriate enough funds to keep a private enterprise going for our school cafeteria. Subway, yes, it is a good alternative to a point. I did appreciate at the last minute that we actually had the food trucks coming in. And yes, Mexican food was delicious. And so was sub sandwiches. Especially some of them I actually haven't had in a hell of a long while. But beyond that, it still felt like it was a trying semester. I know the instructors were doing their best trying to keep the interest of the students going on. I know ours did. In the English 231 class I had, Mr. Tarafella was charming, engaging, and still wanting more feedback from some of the students. And at the end, we had about 10 out of 30 who was his diehards. Because we students of the different age brackets were able to talk to him, talk with him, talk to him, not at him. We were having discussions regarding authors and regarding anything else relating to the materials that we're talking about. When you have a professor who can actually engage in conversation with students like that, they're special. Even his wife, Professor J. She was engaging. She is engaging with her students. I'd taken an English class prior before I took her husband's. And I was grateful I did. Learned a lot. It benefited me a great deal. And one of the most professors I had, the most engaging conversations I've had, and also major discussions that I know I could have had more to argue with him, was our very own Professor John Vento of political science. This particular professor, you would love to argue all day with him, and he never had the time for it. Only because he had a busy schedule. I mean, when he was talking to the students concerning about what he was going through, it's like, okay, but he still pumped up the wattage And he still wanted us to be engaged. He'll talk about something. Do you understand? Oh, he'll rattle off something. And do you understand? You got a question? He was always looking for someone who was got a question or a hand raised up or a look on her face. He was one of the better political science teachers out there because he really engaged with his students. A shout out to him. I've taken three political science classes. He's really opened my eyes on how screwed up our system is, how the people are being these days, and I learned a hell of a lot more about our political systems and about how the world's working these days instead of the classes I'd taken back over 30 plus years ago, because we never had a teacher like Vento to understand what we need to understand. And he wasn't trying to enforce saying that I have my own political views I'm going to give unto you. No, he wanted us to understand the material that he was presenting to us. He wanted us to make our own opinions. He wanted us to understand why things were working the way they were. He wanted to hear from his students what they were thinking, what they were feeling, not to correct us. Well, in some technical aspects, but he wanted to guide us. If this is all the influences from Professor, President, Dr. Ed Knudson, the retiring, what can we say about the gentleman in the first place? Shepherd? Shepherd of the Marauders? The captain? The head Viking? The head marauder? What can you use about him? Without his influence, I don't think the school would be the way it is, and still manages to attract people and students. I'm going to be sad when I leave. I'm going to miss that place like crazy. I'll come back as a visitor because I would feel like it's home to me, a second home. When you have administrators making that place feel like that, it's special. Anyway, I wasted enough time. It's John Cameron Weaver. Well, I don't know, probably going to be 57 next year. An old fart. Soon to be graduate. Mr. Knudson, if you happen to see this tape, you and your campus and your staff made a difference in my life. I thank you. And somehow, if somewhere inside of you happens to feel a bit Trekish, live long and prosper.